seeking an unspecified amount of damages. And a wild story, and of course, we just found out recently that Bob Seger. Are y'all good to go?
Yeah, did you say Seger or Dylan?
I'm sorry, Seger. I'm sorry, Dylan. Bob
Jeez.
Dylan.
Okay.
Let me move.
Yeah, Dylan has got like 45 children. 30 children. Doesn't he? Yeah. 30 children.
We don't really know.
He has many children. He has fathered many children.
He's been known as kind of a weird dude for a long period of time. And
Really?
he's got some women and some children that perhaps we're not aware of. By the way, I have my fly gun here this morning. There is one stinking fly in here, and I've killed two this morning.
Just don't shoot on my head.
Where's he at? Is he on your head?
No, he went over there.
And he is really pissing me off.
By the way, these do work for cockroaches.
Oh, yeah, I caught a spotter this morning.
Yeah.
These are great, by the way. If you ever need one of these, we should.
They should endorse them.
Yeah, this is fantastic. It's called the Bug Assault. It's fantastic, and it kills. Like if you got roaches like high in the ceiling and stuff like that, they're killing. They stun the hell out of them.
I know.
They're great for children too and dogs. So and there was evidently. I don't know if there was a statute of limitations that was ending or some type of New York law. I'm not sure. And again, I read the story this morning, but this individual evidently only had like 24 more hours in order to put this particular order into play. And again, she was 12 years old at the time it actually happened. He was 24 or 25. He's now 68 years old. And of course, a lot of people are asking the question, why now? We're also realizing that he went through a lawsuit several months ago from another female who said that she was impregnated by him and one of his children. And it's funny because this is all happening after he has just sold his catalog of music for $400 million, whatever it is. And so I'm kind of like...
Well, maybe it's a statute of limitations.
Well...
Right? They're waiting.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that she's waiting to the last second, first of all... I got an issue with this, man.
Why?
Well, I know we talk about this, and I realize there is a statute of limitations on a lot of different things. We're talking about something that was 56 years ago. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean, I know we're gonna go back and forth here. It doesn't mean that it was right.
No, I'm not even going there.
That you should be responsible for it.
But
something that happened 56 years ago, because what is that statute? Is 5 years too
I don't
far?
know.
Is 10 years too long ago?
Doesn't
is 15
matter.
years too long
you
ago?
live with it. See, that's the thing. That is the great curse of doing something really, really bad. Is that you forever live with the fear, even if it's not a legal fear, you forever live with the fear that it may come out. It may affect you. You know, what's the term? I'm going to take it to my grave.
Yeah.
But the problem is when I take it to my grave, that sort of has that feeling of only I'm, it's going to be internal and I'm going to take it to my grave.
Yeah.
But something like this, okay, it's been 5 years. Are you good? I don't know. Or 10 years. Are you good? I don't know. Has it been 56 years? Look, it comes out. See, I don't have a problem with that because you did the act. So you did the act. So again, there may be legal implications. I understand that.
Yeah.
But if you did it, you live with it. The consequences don't have a statute of limitations, non-legal consequences.
Yeah.
That's the way I think about it.
Non-legal, yes.
That's what I'm saying. You did it, and it could come out tomorrow. It could never come out. You could die with it. Or when you're 68 and you just sold all your songs for $350 million, that's the day it could come out. I had a great Instagram post about that today. Not quite like that.
Yeah.
But that's the way I live. I mean, they talk about karma's a bitch. That, to me, that is it.
And that was one of the things that came out, and we were kind of like, guys, chill out. The whole Me Too movement coming out. Well, I've done some crazy stuff in my past. It was 15 years ago. I don't remember. I'm sure I did something I should maybe grabbed somebody when I shouldn't have. In this particular case, you're talking about a 12-year-old.
Right.
So factors
it
out there, and that is just like that. And this tarnishes his image. Period. His legacy, regardless of whether. Oh, it's right on your microphone.
I know. Go.
He's dead. Right off the mic, man.
That was good TV.
One-handed too, by the way. I was Rambo right there. Yeah, I mean, it tarnishes his image. I mean, and again, his image has preceded him. I didn't realize until I saw his catalog sell, and I went back and looked about some things about how he's always been. I don't say a womanizer because look at him, he's Bob Dylan. He ain't exactly the best looking thing out there.
He writes well.
And I also try to play into our culture has changed a lot.
So now you're going Cuomo on us.
I am,
because this is Cuomo.
Well, and it has changed a lot.
That's okay.
It's changed a lot with our racial tolerance. Black Lives Matter. It's a lot different now. It's acceptance or toleration or whatever you want to call it.
Toleration, I think you created that.
I mean, good Lord Almighty, you want to go back and just look at Woodstock. How many 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds were things happen at Woodstock that and for the most part, yeah, and they're traumatized by it or whatever. And I'm not saying it's right by any stretch. It was just a different time in the '60s. It was.
But see, different time.
Wrong is wrong. Right is right. I get it.
Okay,
I mean, let's just be.
Well, I think we condoned wrong.
Yeah.
I think we have a different. I think we condoned. See, because to me, there's a difference. There's a difference between wrong is wrong, right is right. Times have changed, how we see things, etc. But think about. And I'm trying not to use the most egregious. But think about our state and interracial marriage. Because we were talking about that. What is it? 1998, 2001. Yep. I mean, some crazy. So my thing is, we have. It's not even tolerated. We've condoned some of the craziest stuff for the longest period of time. So to say it's okay because it was a different time.
I don't even want to say condoned. It was just accepted in a weird kind of way.
Yes.
There's been a lot of young girls under the age of 18 who have thrown themselves at rock and rollers. And for whatever reason, now it's a lot different now than it was back in the 60s, 70s, and even the 80s. But I mean, I told you my Def Leppard story.
Yeah. To me, that's a little different, though. I really think that's different.
They were of age, and that's where this really plays into.
I mean, she was 12.
Yeah, I know. 12 is kind of like, Bob.
Your daughter is 9.
I can't remember what happened last week. I don't know if Bob can remember shit that happened 56 years ago.
Yeah, you can't.
And again, it just appears, the timing, everything appears like a money grab, and we'll see what happens.
But even if it's a money grab, see, I think that's fine. That's karma.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you gonna? What? How are you gonna? If we always have to make it. Let's assume it happened.
Yeah.
Let's assume it happened. She holds the cards.
Yeah.
This is why you don't do stuff like this, because she could do it. She could have done it when she's 16, 18, 32, 42. She holds the cards. If you've done it, you have to wait until you're either dead or she's dead. She played it at the last minute.
Yeah.
You would blame her? See, and that's the thing. We always blame. I think that's interesting. I think we blame the people that it happened to because of when they came forward. Well, people go, why now?
Well, there's no doubt that at least I think opinionated. She's wanting some money. She's wanting some cash out of the deal, and maybe he's just said, "You're not getting any guys." I'm betting her lawyers have gotten in touch with his lawyers already and said, "Listen, we're going to get a pair out here, or else we're going to go to court with you."
Yeah.
The thing is too, we change, and I know.
Yes.
We've seen this over and over and over and over and over again, where we've done stupid things. We've all done dumb things in our teenage years, in our 20s. Not necessarily to another individual or to a 12-year-old, but we've done some really dumb things. And we change. We move on. We see people in prison who find Jesus. They come out and they're different.
Great.
And they're paroled earlier because they've changed.
Wonderful.
They're given, exactly. And so to go back to something in 1965, that was kind of like, geez, I mean, how far back?
Forever. And
I would wonder, for every 10 guys or girls that are listening right now, is there something in your past that you're thinking to yourself, uh-oh.
Yeah. I mean, that's life.
And
that's
again,
karma.
Well, let's be honest here. If Bob Dylan wasn't Bob Dylan, it's never come out.
You're right.
And that's the part that I'm kind of head scratching, going, okay, this has traumatized you so much, and this is something that's been on the back burner for 56 years. Why now?
Why not?
According to the law, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if Bob Dylan never had another hit record after 1965, we'd never know about this. Of course, Bob Dylan wouldn't be Bob Dylan, though.
Well, and there'd be less legal repercussion, right?
Yeah.
It's like suing somebody who doesn't. It's suing somebody who doesn't have any money, or it's it's the Taylor Swift suing for $1.
Yeah.
But I don't know what her financial situation is. She probably can't afford to with legal fees. The average person can't afford to sue for $1 and still pay for their legal fees. So and I'm not taking a holier than thou. I mean, I have done things in my past that, particularly as we're talking about this conversation, I don't know if it's just a little hot in here. I'm thinking,
I am too.
I'm going, okay, if I'm going to live by that, then, and I'm going to put myself out there, then yes, somebody at some place is going to come forward and go, remember that time when? I have to live with it. Like, that's the rules of life. You don't get to say it was different times, it was different. You can say that all you want, but you still did it, because here's the thing. Now I'll get all biblical on you.
Yeah, do it.
It's the golden rule. It's the 10 commandments. It's the what would Jesus do? I mean, is it different? Is to say, well, Jesus would have done that in 1965, but Jesus wouldn't have done that in 1983. See, that's the part I think is so interesting.
You always talk, though, about what's culturally acceptable, though. Mm-hmm. And what's culturally accepable is
groping's not.
No.
Never was.
No.
It was looked beyond. Cuomo's stuff was just golden. Yep. I actually never seen a politician sort of take this angle, which is, look, I may have kissed somebody harder than I should have on the cheek. I may have put my arm around the back, but I'm learning that those were different times.
Yeah. And I have to look at,
guys
are into intent. We're into intent. We always use, well, it wasn't my intent.
Yeah.
I have to wonder what his intent was when he was doing these things. And I have to wonder what Bob Dylan's intent was if he was hanging out with a 12-year-old, because at 12 years old, you pretty much know you're with an underage. 16, 17 these days, culturally different. 16-year-olds look like 16-year-olds back in the 60s. 16-year-olds now, you're kind of like...
But who are the 16-year-olds that people were going after?
Yeah.
We talked about this. They were the 16-year-olds who looked like 18 and 20.
I would throw the question out. It doesn't matter, but why in the world was a 12-year-old hanging out with Bob Dylan?
Yeah. Well, no.
Where's your mom and dad?
But you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. But you have to be careful there.
Yeah.
Because you're totally right. Where were your parents?
Right is right, wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
Where the hell's your parents? It's the same Michael Jackson thing. Why was your 9-year-old son spending the night with Michael Jackson?
Because it was Michael Jackson's a sleepover.
Exactly. So, and I think that's happened. I think there's a lot of rock and rollers. I don't think rock and rollers are freaking. I don't think they could care less.
Oh, because
do I think Mick Jagger's been with an underage girl? Sure.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've seen it. Not
Mick
with Mick Jagger. No, but I've been with a lot of rock and rollers that I'm hanging out with a lot of young girls she told me she was 18.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Look, again, I love this. We talk about this. We need to have, we should have Tony's What Are the Odds segment, because it's that same thing. It's like what you're rolling the dice. What are the odds? If there's a bunch of women, a bunch of girls throwing themselves at you, and you're a rocker, and you're famous, and you're in concert, and you got people around you, then the probability that
and you're rich,
and the probability that will make it, and you don't engage in, you're not raping, you're not doing anything other than they're around you dancing naked.
Yeah.
Chances are you'll be fine. Chances are. What if you're? But what if you? Was same scenario. But what if you're Gronk? What if you're a sports figure? Does it change? Probably. It probably does.
Look at the Trevor Bauer situation. I mean, he's now had his suspension extended 7 different times, and it's a he said she said kind of thing. And of course, he's sticking his heels in the mud pretty deep right now, saying, "Listen, she's messed up with pictures. She's doing all these different things. It's not true. It's a money grab. She's already tried to extort me and blah, 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 blah." I don't know.
If you say it's not true, it's okay. Like, I mean, it's not okay, but you know what I mean? Like, if you're contesting it.
I can't help but think that there's going to be a judge, if this thing ends up going to court, that's going to be going, 1965, guys, what are we doing here? I mean, again, it's.
No, but if it's a judge, you're supposed to go to the letter of the law.
Yeah. It's
a thing.
It's right is right, wrong is wrong. But I mean, again, the first thing I thought of was like, geez, Louise, we're talking 56 years ago. What are we doing here?
See, I don't like where your head's going on that, though. And I know where your heart is, but I don't like where your head's going.
I'm just telling you, every guy and every girl was like 56 years ago. What are we doing here?
So what if you said...
I'm not saying we give the guy a break or anything else.
But 56 years ago, we found out that he... Well, I'm sorry, because I wasn't listening all the way over here. I was busy doing something else.
Yeah.
what are the allegations? That he raped her?
Yeah, there was a sexual assault in that he made her drink or gave her drugs to entice her to do things that perhaps
56 years ago. I don't care. It'd be 60 years ago.
Again, this could be one of those really ugly. Again, I want to know. It's gonna. If I always try to figure out, okay, if someone's done something wrong to somebody and it's actually traumatized them, okay, and again, right is wrong is wrong, and you need to you need some closure on this particular case, and she's been traumatized by this particular situation. I can tell you right now, I would bet you she's told 1 million people that she was with Bob Dylan when she was younger. I'll bet you she's seen 25 Bob Dylan concerts since 1965, and she's like, yeah, one night I had a special evening with him. I can bet you. When
she was 12?
Yeah. She's sharing the stories. I've seen it backstage. I told you my Greg Allman story.
Yeah.
Where the woman hooked up with Greg Allman 11 years, and she brought the daughter to the concert. She asked me to take her backstage.
But he didn't hook up with the daughter.
No, he didn't.
You know,
no,
what I mean,
and again, the 12-year-old thing is kind of like, okay,
that's exactly. See
thing.
what you're doing?
Yeah.
That's it.
I know. I'm waffling back and forth
because you're rolling your eyes because it's a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
What would Jesus do?
He wouldn't be hanging out with 12-year-olds.
Well, he would be hanging out, not in that way.
No.
So don't be careful when you go there.
No, and
Karma's
again,
a bitch.
we don't know enough about that. We don't know about this case. We don't know what the situation is. Do I think it happened?
Look, there's Bruce before he became Caitlyn.
Be kind of surprised. Yeah. See, we're living in a different time. But we've come a long way, and the Me Too movement obviously has been a big part of that.
Yes.
We look at, we always go back to the 50s and 60s where, it was a woman's place to be in the house and care for family, and the man had all the say.
Cuomo could grab your ass. I mean, like, yeah.
Your ass. And then there was a point there where it was like, okay, this isn't cool anymore. We've been moving that direction for a long period of time. We're seeing the Afghanistan thing where girls now can't even go to school.
But that's a great example.
They just went back to the caveman age.
Yes.
In one day, they went back to the caveman age, and it makes me sick to my stomach to see that. But yeah, what's culturally acceptable? We talk about Lynn Park. Is it okay to walk around topless down Lynn Park?
Yeah.
No, but in Barcelona it is.
Yeah.
It's just a different cultural time. But to go back 56 years is kind of like, okay, what are we doing here?
I don't know why you're having such a hard time with this.
I'm not having a hard time with that. It's a head scratcher to me.
Yes, it's not a head scratcher.
This is the first time where we've had something that was over 50 years ago. So even the Bill Cosby thing was 15, 20 years ago.
So does that make it easier?
The Harvey Weinstein. Well, yeah, because it's more recent. Because we look at him as a predator because he was still
the wrong way. We're looking at it the wrong way.
And quite frankly, we're looking at a 50 or 60-year-old guy doing something that he should have been doing as opposed to a 24-year-old because we know we all mature through our ages. I'm not saying it's right. Again, right is right, wrong is wrong. A 24-year-old should know.
So then we shouldn't be torn by it.
He was twice her age.
We shouldn't be torn by it.
When you're 24 and you're twice someone's age, just get the hell out. But I mean,
it's exactly.
But times have changed now too, where we've had Jay Wilson on, and I'm trying to get him on this week to talk about the Live Nation.
Well, yeah,
situation.
he's talking. Yeah,
it ain't like that anymore. I mean, the green rooms and trash in hotel rooms,
right,
and hanging out with strippers and all that stuff. You just don't see it anymore.
So we should ask. I mean, listen, we've asked Jay, but we should ask Damon. Yeah. We should ask any of our friends who are classic rockers. We should ask them. Why does that not happen anymore? Are you afraid of a lawsuit? Is it because you realize that it wasn't right, or you don't want to do stuff like that anymore? Like, again, there's no reason that has to change. Could stay the same. Now, granted, these guys are old.
Yeah, they're a lot older, and they're a lot wiser. It's a business now.
Well, so here's the question. We should ask Jay.
Back then, it wasn't really a business. It wasn't. I mean, you were out rock and rolling. Right. They were making no money, and the record labels were making everything, and you were playing concerts, and you were having a good time, and it was the rock and roll lifestyle.
And social media.
We should ask someone in their 20s.
Social media, for as horrible as it is the great public police.
Yeah.
It is the great public police. Everything you do has the potential for somebody, even if it's inaccurate, to say, I saw Tony at this club. This is not. I saw Tony at this club doing this. No, really, I got a picture of him. I mean, that's the way we work right now.
Yeah.
That's the way we work.
I took a picture of my own junk at a bar once.
See? And it's probably, well, what kind of camera was
That's
it?
before cell phones.
So what was it? Like?
No, a woman asked me to hold onto her phone, and she was having a bachelorette party, so I thought I'd help her out a little bit.
Before cell phones or not?
No, before cell phones. So I took the camera into the bathroom. She's like, "Why'd you take a picture of your elbow?"
Dude, you're so lucky that
Lucky?
you came of age when you did. Just because, like, I would be having so much more to deal with. I was just thinking about, like, the shit that you did, that you did. Thank God there was.
I don't even want to bring it up because it wigs me out. Because
I've looked. You can't find anything on Tony Curry. You must have worked with Jeff Hammock. There's nothing. I can find your stupid early commercials. Television they're not stupid. You look stupid. No, they're great commercials.
Yeah, they're pretty stupid.
Yeah, you look that. Well, I mean, we all did. And I can find that one video, YouTube video of your first day on Rock 99.5. There is nothing about you must have a PR service.
If we had social media, and I said this, if we had social media back in the late 80s, early 90s,
you'd be
I would have done things differently, I think.
Actually, that's a good point. That is a good point because you're savvy. I mean, you're not an idiot.
There were some things that happened on that billboard in 1990 that I ain't particularly proud of.
Right.
Fun.
See, but you see, but with the way you're doing,
and I would tell you about them.
But you're not defensive about it. Listen, I see a lot of guys who come in.
But I didn't assault a 12-year-old.
Well, I see a lot of men who come in and they play the "it was different then," right? And I see them and they look at me and they go, "Well, this is not fair because it was different then." And my response is always the same thing. Do you think it was right then? Whether times were different or not, do you think it was right? Yeah, I do. I think it was right. So you think it was right to belittle a woman, to grope her, to make a pass at her in the elevator? I think that's right. Okay, well then those are the rules that you live by.
Yeah, it was more widely acceptable, even though it was wrong.
It was acceptable.
I'll just go catcalling the women.
Mm-hmm. But ask a woman. Now, I know we talked about this before. There are women who say, yes, I absolutely love it, right?
Yeah.
But there's a difference between, hey, sweetie, you look beautiful, and you keep going. Listen, I'll share this. I have, in the last 3 to 6 months, I've gotten myself in trouble because I adopted this weird thing, this Southern thing, sweetie, darling, whatever. And I'm very cognizant of when I use it. I tend to use it in a polite, somebody helps me, thank you, sweetie, I appreciate it.
75% of the time they like it.
Okay, but listen. Yeah. So and I tend to use it with like my daughter and her friends who I've known since they were. My daughter is now 20. And both her and my wife have said, you got to stop doing that.
Yeah.
You sound like not you. You sound like a chauvinistic. You're like you're mansplaining, sweetie. Like they're like, don't do that. And it really caught me off guard because you know me and you know my heart and you know like I'm Mr. Filter.
I know.
And I looked at them and you know at first I kind of did the man thing, which was that wasn't my intent. Mm-hmm. And they're like, we know, but that's just not appropriate. Don't call my friends sweetie. And it wasn't from a sexual thing.
Oh, I know.
It was more from a demeaning, you know, and I remember thinking that was my moment.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't do it. Can't do it anymore.
You don't know where the intent is. And again, I mean, you would ask the question, okay, why wouldn't it be okay to call an 18-year-old friend of your daughter sweetie? And again, if they don't like it, then...
Because they'll tell you, I asked.
Yeah.
I asked. So what's wrong with that? Yeah, and you know my family.
Yeah.
Shit,
yeah. Why did you ask? Yeah.
No, but they're like, it's demeaning, it's mansplaining, or it comes across as mansplaining. They're not your sweetie, right? You're not treating them as an adult.
And to flip this, when was the last time a woman called you,
darling?
A term of endearment. See, we had Rachel Barbeau was on our show, and she's part of the I'm Changing the Narrative.org. She's part of the Me Too movement. She loves to be called baby and sweet pea and all that stuff.
It depends by who. Depends by who.
It is. And obviously a stranger out the street,
right.
She's called sweetie or sweet pea or whatever, or, you know. And I do think there's different levels of endearment. Yes. I think baby is a little, you know, sweet pie, you know, but there's a lot of people who call her... You know, and that's something I have to work towards because I rarely call people by their names.
I know.
And so I went to the bank yesterday and called the woman, "Hun, hey, hon, how you doing?"
Yeah.
And we know each other, and she was totally cool with it. And she's like, "Hey,"
and I think,
but she didn't call me baby back. She's like, "Hey, Tony, how are you?" And I'm like,
well, and that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing. If they call you darling,
we would actually like that.
What?
You know, if a woman came up and said, "Hey, stud muffin, how you doing?"
We'd like that
because we would like that.
Well, because we haven't endured generations and generations of discrimination.
Yeah,
like that's the cool. Well, it's not cool, but that's the most interesting thing. Part of the reason we don't have a problem with it.
What about sister? Is it okay to call a girl sister? Because I call everyone brother. Because we're all brothers.
You gotta be careful now with different gender identities.
I'll call people brothers unless they're doctors. I call you brother because you are my brother. But
you don't call doctors brothers?
No, because I think doctors supersedes brother. Because I think if you got a doctors, people
doctors who are your friend.
Yeah,
like you don't call Brian Christine brother.
Dr. Alex at Adaptogen.
Yeah, but he's not quite your close friend yet.
I'll say, hey brother. It depends on. No, I do, but it depends on if I'm texting him. I may hey doc, because it
depends what you're texting him for. If you're asking him about your penis, then yes,
this is my intent, and my intent is to show respect to whoever I'm speaking to.
Because you're asking him about your penis.
Yeah, or sometimes I'll find myself, because if you worked hard enough to get a doctorate degree, then I think people like to be called doctor.
That's an interesting thing. It's a very interesting thing. I think it's
out
very
of sheer
telling.
Respect. I will go both ways.
It's a very telling thing about people who have doctorates or doctorate degree who they don't demand it, but that's how they prefer to be called. You ask me, and
how should I approach you? How should I call you?
Call me Josh.
Call me Dr. Josh Klapow.
Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Get over yourself. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
You're still you.
But I will make that call for them.
Absolutely.
By calling them. I'll see if I say Dr. Alex, if I see someone that's a doctor, then I will show them respect. Now, if they say, you don't have to call me Dr. Alex, but they won't do that.
Yeah, they will.
No, they like that. They're like, he wants to call me Dr. Alex.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I still think it's weird.
Yeah.
Now,
but you know. But
I've been hanging out with you.
But when you're doing television stuff, you are on as a doctor, so you must be called Dr.
That's because I'm in that role.
Yeah.
Here,
you ain't no doctor.
I'm not. I got shorts on and you're shooting flies off me.
I know, right? That was a good shot.
That was a very good shot.
Talk about one of our great sponsors tonight. I want to continue this Me Too movement because we have the SEC football season kicking off here in a couple of weeks. A week from Saturday is college football season. UAB is going to be down in Montgomery the following Wednesday. And then, of course, that first full weekend in September is going to be SEC football all over the place, and it's a go. And I always think about the locker room, because the locker room is a bunch of guys, sacred. And there's towels, and people are walking around naked, and they're smacking. Well, something happened on a baseball field a couple nights ago that was really interesting, because it's the Chandler Bing moment. Remember the episode where the boss kept patting him on the butt, and he finally said something to him, and then he was like, hey, pat me on the butt there, show me I did a good job kind of thing? Well, a pitcher evidently was coming off the baseball field, and his manager patted him on the backside.
You didn't like it?
And what he said will surprise you. We'll talk about that after you talk about one of our great sponsors.
Well, sometimes what happens on the backside is you get your prostate examined.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And you call them doctor, and it's a very professional situation. And that's what Vituro Health, our sponsor, is there to tell you is that, look, once a year, guys, once a year you have your prostate exam, you have a blood test, and you can monitor your chances of developing prostate cancer. It's very common. 1 out of 9 men are going to develop it. If you develop prostate cancer, and by the way, Vituro Health is expanding. I just talked to Cleet Walker the other day. They are expanding across the country, developing more and more advanced techniques for treating prostate cancer. That's one of the great things about the science behind this is it's not necessarily that you have to have surgery. They have ultrasound techniques. They have the Tulsa technique. There are ways to treat this prostate cancer that are what are called minimally invasive. You, though, it's your job to understand about your prostate health, and men's health in general. Go to their webpage today. It's a great webpage. It's got great tips about men's health, prostate health, and what to do if you develop prostate cancer. The webpage is VituroHealth.com, and again, they're expanding all over the country. Proud sponsor of Kurre and Klapow, Vituro Health.
I remember the scene when Nick Saban smacked A.J. McCarron on the backside. Now he reared up.
Yeah.
Then gave him the big old smack on the butt side. Remember side? It's a celebratory kind of thing in sports. It's been like this for a long time. No, he smacked him good. That was like good job.
A spanking.
That was a good job, but I'm going to kill you if you ever throw that ball again.
Right. Yes.
But it's been a celebratory thing in sports for a long period of time. People have always smacked people on the backside in sports, and it's always been an accepted type of thing. Good job. You see football players do it after every
It is one of the
play.
only heterosexually accepted intimate acts.
It's really weird.
It's the most bizarre because the same guys who do that would never do that in any other place.
Totally right.
It's so weird because women. Side note, I was watching. I coach these volleyball players, and women's beach volleyball players in between each point, they embrace. You watch men volleyball players, they'll embrace with a high five or whatever, but they're not hugging. And it's just
they do a lot of hugging though. If you watch the Olympics, it's
more. I guess what I'm saying is women are much more fluid in that.
Yeah.
There's not as much on a woman to give another woman a hug, a heterosexual woman to give another woman a hug and maybe a kiss. You don't think twice about it. Guys are like,
I'm glad you brought that up because if you watch the volleyball, men are incredibly comfortable with each other because I'm a skin guy.
Yes.
So if you got a lot of skin showing, I will not hug a woman in a bikini.
Right.
No, I'll do the even if she's.
Yeah.
I'm
right.
If there's too much skin to touch,
right.
It makes me incredibly
That's your
uncomfortable.
moral upbringing.
Well, yeah. I mean, if
that's your
I will
boy
hug
stuff.
my neighbor across the street. I'll give her the big old bear
but
hug. But if she's
naked,
wearing naked or maybe she's walking the neighborhood and she doesn't have a bra on or something like that, then I'm a little. I just but in this particular case, men volleyball players are really comfortable with each other. I watched the gold medal thing, and after every play, they're all like
there's
all
a whole
over each other.
There's a whole theory in volleyball about touching and trust. It's not weird, but it's a little weird. It's about coming together in between. It's like a huddle.
Well, and I watch how the coaches do it with gymnastics. After the Simone Biles thing came back out again, I was watching the coaches. Now, in some cases, the coaches are their dads.
Yep. But they hug.
But there's that because they're wearing a leotard. There's nothing there, and you're kind of like, okay.
They're also 4'6", and it makes it easier. You're just grabbing around the shoulder.
It looks a little strange. Max Scherzer, who pitches for the LA Dodgers, was pitching the other night, and he got off the mound in the fourth inning, and Dave Roberts, who's the manager, smacked him on the butt, which he does every inning. Good job. And he turned around, and the cameras caught him, and he said, "Don't effing touch me again." And Dave was like, "What?" And he walked off. And he's like, "Well, what just happened here?" And he said, "I got a scoop from one of his buddies on the team." He said, "Hey, Doc," and they call him Doc. He said, "Make sure you don't touch him. He doesn't want anyone touching him, certainly on the backside." Scherzer said, "Hey, did I offend you, or is everything okay?" He said, "I gave you the tempered, most respectful way I could say it because this is my job. I don't need any kind of congratulations, support. That's my job tonight. So stop patting me on the butt."
Okay.
Dave said, as the manager and the captain, "I did not know.
Yes.
I apologize. I do it with all the players after home runs, after high fives, all those things. I didn't realize that." And again, culturally speaking, sports is the only one that can really get away with this.
Yeah.
And again, you don't ever see. I'm trying to think. Do you ever see men patting women on the backside or women patting men on the backside? You don't see that, but you certainly see men on men and women on women, to our point in volleyball. And so, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe if we were this staunch in our beliefs and the thought process of being touched, period, don't effing touch me again.
See, but I think that was not a sexual thing.
No, it wasn't sexual.
But I think not his touch. This was that's like an athlete. That's an athlete. Get the F away from me.
Yeah.
That's an ego. It's got nothing like that. That would be the same. I think he would have given the same response if he patted him on the back.
Yeah.
That's a guy who's a fourth inning. He got pulled out, right?
No, he ended up pitching a few more innings.
Okay, that is a. I'm here to do my job. I don't need. There's an ego thing that I think's got nothing to do with the way they hit him on the ball. He could have hit him anywhere.
You ever been smacked on the ass?
Yeah, you mean in sports?
Anywhere.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I mean, I had in sports.
Well, you're not a touchy guy, though.
Well, no, I didn't need when I played soccer in high school and I made a couple. I was a goalie, a couple good saves. My coach was like, "Yeah, you did a great job," and it was unnecessary. That's the way I felt about it. Not that it was inappropriate. It was just like, shut up, like just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like it's just
touching touching though is furthering the point of telling someone. If you say you did a great job today,
but
I am really impressed with your presentation you did today. I may touch your arm.
See, I'm a toucher.
I am a toucher too.
I'm a toucher. No, you're a hugger.
You're not a toucher.
No, but I'm a toucher. My family mocks me all the time because I do this all the time. If I want to like emphasize a point, hey, I just want to tell you, whoever, my family, and I will reach out and touch my arm. So my family mocks me all the time because they're like, okay, here comes Dad with his emphasized point. I do that. I am very much somebody, even a stranger, someone at work, or someone, a colleague, and we're talking and we come together on a point. Yeah, you're so right. I reach out and touch. Yeah. Listen, we talked about earlier the thing. Somebody could come back and go, that Klapow, that creep, that psychologist, he reached out and touched my arm. Now, I don't touch him on the ass. I touch him on the forearm.
Maybe you should give him
I touch him on the forearm, or I'm a shoulder toucher.
Could you imagine if because you're right, sports are so different. And
sports is totally
it's
different.
Weird because sports are so masculine and
the whole football thing.
Driven
Women mock football players.
Yeah.
Women mock football players. They're like, look at you, Mr. Macho, right? Mr. Wholly heterosexual, homophobic, right? And yet you're running around in tighty-whities with your junk hanging out. You're jumping on each other.
You got a quarterback to stick his hand in the crotch of the
and
center.
Then you're touching each other, and you're a homophobic.
And maybe that's why, in at least college football or professional football, maybe that's why it's more widely accepted to be touching, because they're touching guys all day long.
Right.
They're touching guys more than they're not touching guys, because every time there's a play, you're rubbing up against a guy, you're touching guys, and so maybe that's more why it's culturally more accepted.
So then where's the homophobia?
I wonder when the first ass pat was in college football.
What about the homophobia part? I think that's interesting.
There's a firm line in the sand there.
Where?
I mean, this is a masculine thing. We're battling and we're touching each other and we're doing it.
But we're slapping each other in the butt?
Yeah, afterwards. Well, and I mentioned this. Do you remember the video? I think it was the Ohio State player a couple of years ago where they had the video where he was laying on top of a pile and he was giving guys reach arounds after the play was over.
Yeah.
And they were like, whoa, hey. I forget who the guy was.
That's the line. That's the line.
They were copping a feel after plays.
We're kind of, come on. We need to loosen up. I'll tell you.
Loosen up in what way, though?
No, I tell you. You see the generational change. You're seeing the generational change. You're seeing the Gen Zs, Gen Zs mostly. Gender and it's not sexual, but sexual interaction, intimate touching, is much more acceptable around the individuals who are 30 and under. There's more hugs. They sit on each other's laps. It's less of that line where it's only okay in football.
Okay, so this is really interesting because you're pretty staunch in your right is right, wrong is wrong, and if you don't like it, then I shouldn't do it. Yeah. And the sweetie, all this, but you're saying we need to chill out a little bit. We need to relax.
Well, no, I'm saying
again, you don't know. The problem is you don't know the intention. You can certainly make that argument for Governor Cuomo. Okay, but he's in a position of power, and
that's the whole point.
And he took it to another level.
That's
the small of the back and the face.
I'm not talking about teachers sitting. I'm not talking about Gen Z. I'm not talking about the Indian Springs.
You're
teachers.
right, though. I mean, the younger kids, they're all over each other.
Did you notice that?
Yeah.
But you notice that, and it's not. They're not. I'm talking particularly males, because females tend to be a little bit more touchy anyway. I'm talking males, and I remember for a long time, I'm like, I wonder if they're gay. And they're like, nobody. They're not gay. They're just sitting on each other's lap.
Yeah.
That's it. Nothing there.
That's gay. That's a little weird.
But you see, it makes you uncomfortable because you think it's weird, or not weird. I'm gonna give you benefit of doubt. You think that there are homosexual tendencies, if that's what it is, and you could have a 22-year-old, 18, 19, 20-year-old go, I'm as straight as it gets. You just sitting on my lap. It's no big deal. It's no big deal.
I've never seen a 22-year-old sit on the lap of another 22-year-old.
Go watch college kids. I'm telling you. Your kid's not in college. I am telling you.
I can tell you right now, my kid will not be sitting on the lap of another.
You want that?
He doesn't. Yeah, I do, because my 16-year-old doesn't like to be touched, period.
Oh, well, okay, that's a different thing. But we have to reassess what touching and intimacy and connection is. If we don't, as 50-year-olds, then we pull the Archie Bunker, the back in my day.
Yeah.
And I look, you can have your views, that's fine. But like, what's wrong with going with times are changing? Well, times are changing.
Yeah, yeah, they are.
For Bob.
Yes, they are. All right, talk about one of our great sponsors, and I want to get into our Reddit post of the day. This is a good one. This is not sexual in nature at all.
I just don't understand why people.
We talked about Bob Dylan, his prior life, something back in 1965. This guy had a prior life, and he wants to revisit that prior life. And his wife is like, no. This is your new life. You have a new family here. We're not going back there. We're not doing that. And he's like, well, why? And he doesn't understand.
That's right. Well, someplace you can always go back is Woodhouse Day Spa. You can go back day after day after day. And first of all, you're going to be treated professionally.
Yes.
You're going to be treated by the finest, most well-trained individuals. It's located up at the Summit here locally in Birmingham, 905-7676. And it's a resort. You basically have a resort where you can get manicures, pedicures, facials, massages. Let's say you have an injury or wound or something that you're rehabbing. You can go in there and tell them what's going on, and they will put a treatment plan together for you. And they're not rushing you in, and they're not rushing you out. And in this day and age, that is the most important thing. Again, number is 905-7676. They are absolutely amazing. Stuart Rome, who owns the place, great classic rock fan, really prides himself on having the finest of everything. There is nothing at Woodhouse Day Spa that is not top of the line. And I've talked to Stuart about this. He's like, we're constantly researching what are the new products coming out of Europe, what are the best oils, what are the best techniques, and that's what you're going to find at Woodhouse Day Spa. Go to the webpage and you can make reservations right now. You can see what I'm talking about. The webpage is birmingham.woodhousespas.com. It's birmingham.woodhousespas.com.
Big Idaho, another one of our great sponsors, official charity of KCast Radio is the Jimmy Hill Mission. If you go to our website, kcastradio.com, there's a donate button right there on the top of our webpage. Click that thing. $5 a week will save the life of a man, woman, or child. They do wonderful work. They work in 5 different facets, including vocationally, spiritually, mentally, physically. They do it all, and they're fantastic. Michael Coleman has become a really good close friend of mine, runs that organization. They've been around for 76 years. I've been doing stuff with the Jimmy Hill Mission for 30 years. We're always one paycheck away from being homeless. They're going to serve you, give you a warm place to sleep and a hot meal, but they want to see you get back into the workforce. They want to see you get your GED. They want to see you get back with your family. They want to see your life get back to the gift that God gave you, and they'll do that through the Jimmy Hill Mission, Jimmy with an IE, jimmyhillmission.org or jimmyhillmission.com. They do wonderful work. One of the first places I went when I came to Birmingham, I wanted to see how Birminghamians took care of their own. And I think you can see a lot by your homeless situation, quite frankly, in any city you go to, and how they treat those people and how they want to help those people. So it's great. And I mentioned my daughter wanted to pick up a homeless woman the other day, and I said, why don't you roll the window down and say, hey, listen, have you gone to Jesse's place? Yeah. Or have you gone to Jimmy Hill Mission?
Yes.
There's help for there. And I said, some people just don't want the help. Speaking of Jimmy Hill Mission, a lot of people who are part of that organization who have been through it have addictive properties. 90% of people that go to Jimmy Hill Mission have some type of addiction issue, or they've been incarcerated. A Reddit user was in prison for 6 years. I didn't even mention what it was for. And while he was in there, he was rooming with a guy named Scott, who had been there for 15 years, who was revered as a really nice guy, a respected guy in this particular prison, and people left him alone. Okay. If they leave you alone, there's an amount of respect there. And again, it probably has something to do with the fact, why was he in there?
Right.
Anyway, he said, quite frankly, I would not have been able to get through my 6 years in prison without the help of Scott.
That's great.
We became good friends. We read the Bible together, and he really kind of taught me the ropes and how to stay out of trouble. And I got out early, and then he went out, got himself a job. In this particular case, prison worked, and is now an established father, a community member, has a 4-year-old son, got married, and life is good. So he found out that Scott had passed away several weeks earlier. And because of COVID-19 and everything, there's a small group of people that are going to be allowed to be at his funeral. And he was one of the ones that was invited because he was his cellmate for 6 years and wants to go to the funeral. and his wife did not know about Scott.
Okay.
But he explained to her, this was a guy that really helped me get through a lot in prison. It was incredibly difficult, and it was a time in my life that I'd rather forget, but I have no regrets, and so I'm moving past it, and I'd like to show my respects. She doesn't want him to go.
Why?
She said that was your former life.
Mm-hmm.
That was a life that's gone now. You're a different man. You're a family man now. This is your new life. This is a life that you've chosen. This is a beautiful thing. You've turned your life around, and I would rather you not get back into that former life. And so he went on the Am I an A-hole forum to find out what people thought. Resoundingly, people are like, what is she afraid of?
Yeah.
Does she think you're going to resort back to that type of lifestyle? You know, does she realize that without Scott, you wouldn't be here? There wasn't one post on there that said that she was right in demanding that he not go to this funeral. And I think it's really interesting because your life is your life. Ask Bob Dylan. And it's all one giant canvas, and there's little parts that you have to look really hard to find. There's other parts that are well revered and seen with the naked eye. And he really wants to go, but now he doesn't want to be disruptive in his family life. I don't think it's a situation, at least according to the reading, I don't think it's a situation where she's afraid her 4-year-old will find out that her dad was in prison.
Right.
Yeah, those are those things that you share with your children. You know, I got the question a couple of years ago, Dad, have you ever been arrested? And I don't lie to my children, but I'm very calculated in how I navigate my prior life, because that's a question I would have never asked my dad.
Right.
You never asked your dad, how much money do you make? Or how much did that cost? Or why can't we do this?
I did.
Or I never did. I didn't want to. That was the life I live in. I don't know how it was for everyone else back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, but out of sheer respect, I didn't ask my dad questions. If he wanted to give me information, then he would tell me. I asked him some big-time questions, but not personal questions like, why are we always broke? Or why can't we afford this? And I get these questions from my kids all the time.
Of course.
What the hell? Just chill out. You have everything you need? You okay?
No, but see, that's...
So I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me, but I always think to myself, man, if I asked my dad that question.
He'd smack you upside the head.
Now I would have asked my dad that question later on in his life because we became good friends. He was the best man at my wedding, and we became very close. But I didn't have to. He started sharing these stories. We'd even get together and go, okay, what story are we going to hear today, Dad? And he'd tell me the story about him getting arrested driving around a racetrack at 4 o'clock in the morning in the van. And you're like, what? That's so cool. That's great. Dad, you rock. Blah, blah. This is when I was like in my 40s. And by the way, I told him the truth. I said, I made some mistakes. I've been arrested. Did you spend the night in jail? Yes, I did. It was only one night. But thank goodness, I had the money to get out and have a situation. It's not something I'm proud of, and it was 20-something years ago. So.
But I think that's important that you do. Like, I think that's okay. Those are normal questions for kids to ask. I think when parents, I'm not saying that
you don't want to answer them, don't get put in prison.
Well, yeah, or
live your life right. You don't have to worry about it.
Like you said, you told him you were in prison. You didn't tell him who your cellmate was. You didn't tell him how you get. You know what I mean?
I didn't tell him what I was in prison for either.
Oh, fine, because they didn't ask.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point. This Reddit thing I think is really interesting. I still have this thing about people going on to Reddit to ask questions. Like it both is strange and it breaks my heart. Like, it's really, you got to go there. Like I understand it's this whole forum, but it's weird. It's just, and I'm the shrink. Like, it's weird that you're going out to. You see it on Facebook. Looking for an electrician. Does anyone have? Okay, that's different. Yeah. Looking for validation.
It's that connection. It's that connection value.
I understand
it's that connection.
But I think what's interesting here.
Please tell me I'm right. Please help me find what I'm looking for.
Right, because they're not going to go to look. I'm really not sure.
Yeah.
But I think her reaction. Reactions are always telling, and we don't have the whole story. But reactions are always telling. He's asking to go to a funeral. He's not saying, look, Steve, what is his name? Steve? Scott got out and we want to go hang out again. I could get that one.
Yeah.
No.
You would have a problem if Scott got out of prison and say he was still alive, and my old cellmate has got his life, he's getting his life back together again, he's reached out to me and wants to get together and catch up. You'd have a problem with that.
I don't have a problem with that. I would be, depending on why he was in jail, and depending on the circumstances, I would be cautious about it, right? I wouldn't say no, but what I'm saying is he's dead.
Yeah.
He's dead, and you're asked to go to the funeral.
Yeah.
So what are you worried about? Are you worried? And this is what I think is interesting. I wonder how worried she is that it will become something that they have to tell their child.
Yeah.
Because he's dead. Like, what is going to happen at the funeral? Is it all his prison buddies are going to be there and he's going to get sucked into a life of no good?
No, it sounds like she just does not want to remember his former life. Yeah. And that's not the man I knew.
Yep.
That's not the man I married. I would have never married you if you were in prison.
But that is the man you knew, and that is the man you married. You didn't know that he was there, but he is that guy.
Well, I'm assuming that she knew that he was an ex-convict or he was in prison when she met him. I mean, that's one of those skeletons in the closet. I'm a different person now. I found God, whatever, blah, 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 and yeah, I've done some
I
things
think that's one of those things. Listen, I think there are certain things, we talk about this so many different times on the show. When do you come clean? What do you come clean on? And what do you offer up that no one's asked you?
Yeah. Prison's a good one.
I think prison's a good one.
Depending on what it is. If it's selling weed or some blue-collar thing, it's one thing.
I think if you're going to get married to somebody or you're going to be with someone for the rest of your life, depending on who you are now, who they are now, I mean, maybe you have friends. I mean, maybe you live in a lifestyle where lots of people have been in prison and it's not that big of a deal. But if you've sort of cleaned up your life, have nothing to do with prison, you're marrying or you're going to be with somebody who that's the farthest thing from their existence, you let them know. I mean, again, you go
right off the bat?
Not the first date.
Yeah.
But you're like, let me share some things with you. I mean, I told you, we're doing that. I told you how my kids now are the whole thing about me being married once before.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just blew their mind. I never told them. They saw a video of me at my mom's house. I saw my first, and they weren't angry at me for doing it. Mm-hmm. They were more like, why didn't, and my kids were older. They were probably, they weren't that, they're probably 13 and 15 or 12 and 14, and they're like, what the heck? And the whole thing was, why didn't you tell us? My whole thing was, you didn't ask me.
Yeah.
And so I think there are definitely things in a relationship. If you were married before, you don't hide that one. Obviously, if you have kids. Mm-hmm. If you're, I'm trying to think of all of them. Prison's the other one. I can't think of too many more.
What if you're an addict?
Yes. Recovering?
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you do.
Well, obviously, if you're active, they're probably going to find out sooner or later.
I think that, because listen, I think that falls into, hey, let's go there. I think that falls to me, a recovering or someone who's managing an addiction, that falls in the same category to me as a mental health problem. I got heart disease. I got diabetes. Like, again, I would use diabetes as a good one, only because when you have diabetes, even if it's well controlled, you're eating certain foods and you're taking medication. Yeah. You don't just say nothing because they're going to go, why can't you have that candy? Or like, what?
They're going to find out soon enough when you don't.
Yeah, I think that there is nothing wrong. And I think it is, what's interesting to me is if you're going to share your life with somebody, I love you, I'm going to share my life. Mm-hmm. There's everything there. You can't, hiding it already says that you got something that you're worried about.
Yeah.
And you're worried because you're afraid it will ruin the relationship. Mm-hmm. And if it will ruin the relationship, then it was going to ruin the relationship anyway.
Good. Yeah, true. And if you bring it up too early,
it
may be something you're still struggling with.
Yes. You don't do that, I'm going to get it off my chest. It's not I get it off. Look, I can't take it any longer. Let me tell you, I was arrested 6 times, and I'm a drug addict, and I have a terminal illness, and I have 4 kids from another relationship. Whew, I feel so much better.
Yeah, I mean, your past doesn't go away.
No.
You still have that past. He still spent 6 years in prison. It's not something he's proud of. He's changed. Be happy that you got the man that you have now. But it's like she's almost afraid that she doesn't, like, she wants to totally forget that
Yes,
part.
which I understand that. I actually understand that too, because if he's had absolutely no connection,
because she didn't know him as that person.
That's right.
I know you as this man now, and this is my life, and this is our life, and this is our family life, and I don't.
So
want
what
you
they
as
should
part of
do. So this is a great time for communication.
Yeah.
This is a wonderful time for him to say, "What are you concerned about?" Not what are you bought. What are you concerned about? Well, I don't know. I mean, if you go back there, okay, I'm going to his funeral. There will be a few other people who are in prison. Are you worried that I'm going to, revert back to my own life? Yes, I am. Okay, well, what can I do to make you not worry?
Yeah.
Classic. Help me understand how going to that funeral is going to tie me back to my old life. I'm telling you, if you use the word "help me understand," that phrase.
Help me understand, yeah.
Help me understand is the greatest phrase in the world, because in those moments where you're absolutely like, what the F is going on? And you just cannot figure it out. Like somebody, I don't know, somebody comes into your house and puts a for sale sign on your house,
Yeah,
and you're ready to just go ballistic,
Yeah.
but you don't understand. You really don't understand. Why did you do this? Help me understand. I encourage people to do that with their exes all the time. You want to go off on them because you're so perplexed, you're so frustrated, you're so irritated. Even if you're not doing it out of the best place in your heart, help me understand. I mean, I've told some of my clients this. It's kind of good in a manipulative way.
Yeah.
It forces them to play their card.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be manipulative, force them to play their
This
card.
reminds me a little bit of class reunions. I know some people are really into
Yep.
class reunions.
Yep.
They love class reunions. I'm not
We've
a
had-
class reunion guy. I feel about class reunions. I really got no reason. I get on Lakota's class of 1984 on Facebook just to see what people look like.
Yes,
and
see, I
how
love
they're
that.
doing. But I have no inclination to go up to Cincinnati, Ohio, to be part of my 40th anniversary or 50th or whatever it's going to be. 45th. I don't see the need to be in that bunch again. I haven't seen him since I was a senior in high school, and so but I know there's people that want to relive their past and they want to show pictures and, oh, look, I found this picture from our senior
But that's
year,
why we
and
have
I'm like,
social media. So to me,
I know, and
that's
I'm kind of like, okay, and they're like, are you? And I get invited to,
Yep.
we're having a picnic this Saturday. They're having a picnic this Saturday. Are you coming to the picnic? I'm like, no, I'm not coming to the
I
picnic.
live in Birmingham.
I appreciate you offering.
Right. See,
you were
that's
such
okay,
a
yeah.
big part of our senior class and blah. And I'm
Yes.
like, you're a class clown. And I'm like, I don't.
Would you go to a funeral of someone who passed in your high school who?
If I kept in touch with them and
Yeah.
I was good friends with them, maybe.
Yeah.
Perhaps. But this is another one of those things where, I could see where a mate would go, why are you going to your 30th? Or do you just want to see an old girlfriend?
Yeah.
Why do you need to make those connections with these people? Can you not text them? Can you not?
Right.
And again, in this particular case, the fact the guy's dead.
He's dead.
What are you going to show respect to his family? Are you going
Right.
because he did mention the fact that he has kept in touch with Scott's sister, who he knew.
Does the wife know about that?
Yes.
See, then it gets even more.
Only because she used to come visit, but he just wants to show respect, and she's like, "Well, he's dead." So
Yeah. Now this is. I'm having a hard time with her.
yeah,
Look, you're gonna use something derogatory. You need to get a little more secure with your relationship.
yeah,
Again, help me understand. If they're sitting in my office together and he's saying, I want to go to this was the guy in prison, he's dead, I've been invited to it, it's a small thing, and she's like, no way, there's no way, it makes me I would say to her, help me understand what are your fears. And when they say, well, that was a past life, that's not telling me your fears.
yeah.
That's just telling me the past. What are you afraid of? What are you concerned of? And, again, usually it's somewhere between he may slip back into his old ways, which maybe it's founded or unfounded. Okay, and then I'd say to him, all right, that's reasonable concern. Help her understand how that's not going to happen, right? Or she may say, and because I've also seen this, I don't want that coming up. We've buried that. Not just we've buried it socially. None of our friends know about it. Our daughter doesn't know about it. And I don't want to have to deal with that.
No, I can understand that.
And I can understand that, but at the same time, this is where you become an adult in a relationship.
I can also understand her thought process of why do you want to go back?
Because because he's dead. and it's a pivotal time.
Okay.
When somebody dies, it is a pivotal emotional.
I realize that, but
time.
why do you? I would say, help me understand. Why do you feel the need to have to go back and pay respects to a guy? He knew that he helped you. I don't know if they were pen pals or he wrote letters to him when he got out, because he's been out for a long period.
It's a more to me.
But what?
Yeah.
Is this a closure situation for
you?
you?
I think it's a closure.
Is it a situation where you feel the need to let people know what a wonderful man he was because he was in prison?
Why
for
do we have
15
funerals?
years? Yeah.
Why do we? I mean, if you're going to go there, go there, it's why do we have funerals?
Yeah, I think she could flip the table a little bit to get some answers.
Right,
for
but
herself.
to me, it's a symbolic closure thing. This is why we have funerals. He's like, this is my way of saying you say your final goodbyes. It helps us as humans dial this thing.
Maybe she's afraid. And again, I keep thinking of the class reunion thing, because again, if you go to class reunions, God bless you, go do whatever you want to do. I don't. If you're part of a group that gets together once a year,
that's right.
Or you're still friends and you're doing business with old buddies that you were in high school with, and you've networked out, and it happens. I get it, but just to go back every 10 years. And you don't keep in touch with these people, and you're just going back every 10 years to see what the class looks like, and you want to be part of this party. And maybe, again, high school was different for me than a lot of people here. High school for me was like I was working 3 jobs. I just wanted to get the hell in, get the hell out, get my grades, and go. I was there for 8 hours a day. So, I mean, it was a big part of my life. But that's not something I want to rediscover. And quite frankly, I don't want to rediscover that part of my life. I don't. I don't have any bad feelings towards it.
Do you have issues there?
No,
I know about the flute thing.
So.
I know the flute and the flute box. That could have been very traumatic.
Box, yeah.
No, but I think social media has also changed.
I wonder about people that want to continue to live in the past. I do.
I think that social media has really changed that.
Because you can find people now.
That's exactly. You couldn't think about it before. Before social media, or really the internet.
Before Facebook.
Well, but even before that,
anything.
I mean, you could on the internet you could go to MySpace and you could look up records and stuff. But it is so easy now to if in fact your interest in this is I wonder what happened to so and so. I wonder what these people are doing. You don't need a reunion to do it.
No.
But so I can understand before why people would do reunions. You literally could have had no contact with somebody or no visual contact for 10 years. I wonder what happened to Joe.
Yeah.
Oh my God, look at Joe. Joe's a stud. Joe's fat. Joe's a doctor. Joe's a this. I see that, and this is what I've told you. This is why I am members of the John F. Kennedy class of '86 Facebook page. I'm members of the Growing Up in Granada Hills in the '70s page. I love nostalgia.
Yeah.
I haven't really formed any relationships, but when they post like Van Halen at the Troubadour. Yeah, I remember that. I was there, and then it's like this great moment, and then I move on.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what is sad, though, and this is a part of it. I see a lot of posts, and this is a little bit of our age, of classmates, not dear friends, but people I know, dying.
Yeah.
And,
And again, and living in the past. I don't...
Well, people would say, listen, I'm going to tell you...
If you're the person that's running that site...
Yeah, okay.
The Lakota Class of 1984 Facebook page.
Somebody's got to do it.
I know. So who is this person? And why do they feel the need to post stuff every single day?
Well, you got to keep the posting up because you know this.
Maybe it's a situation where your life was so much better back in 1984 than it is in 2021.
Well, we all know the people who didn't move on. We know the people who didn't move on because, we know they move on because you look on Facebook and they're living in the same neighborhood, in the same house. And, they may have a success. And here's the thing. We say that with a lot of judgment. I know I sound judgy with that. They may be happy as all get out. I saw that when I moved here. When I moved here, they would say, oh, this is kids from Mountain Brook. They go to school, they go to Alabama, or they go to Vandy, and they come right back and live right next to mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Yeah. Talk about one of our great sponsors here. We're live on Facebook. If you do not have the KCast Radio app, get the KCast Radio app. We have specialized programming. We've got our AC/DC show coming up tomorrow night, brought to you by Southern Precision Staffing. For all of your staffing needs, 205-682-2828, 205-682-2828. Kai Greger and his entire crew do a great job. Any staffing needs you have, anything construction, to IT to anything in between. They can take care of it. You need one person, you need 100 people, they'll take care of you. They do wonderful work. And of course, they're nationwide. They're right here in Hoover, Alabama, but they serve the United States of America. And just like KCast Radio does, where your handshake and your word, see, they still touch. They still touch. Handshake and your word still means something. Southern Precision Staffing, 205-682-2828, 205-682-2828, Southern Precision Staffing. Go.
I'm going to talk about John Gray and Driscoll Gray. Confusing financial times right now, and you don't want somebody who's just putting your money into savings. I've worked with John Gray for over a decade. This guy and his organization has helped me in more ways: savings, debt, understanding whether I should be saving or I should be paying taxes or how I should be doing. He manages your whole financial situation. You go to his webpage, driscollgray.com, and I promise you, you'll see it's not just about how much money I should save or where my investments should go. It's opening a health spending account or health savings account. It's a 529. It's determining which money you should use and how you should use your stimulus package. John Gray is truly amazing. Again, go to his webpage. All the contact information there at driscollgray.com.
All right. Thanks again for watching here. How you feeling? You feeling okay?
A little swole.
You look good.
I'm good.
All right. Thanks again for listening. We'll do it again tomorrow morning. And then there's that. I'm gonna shoot that fly.
It's on your head.
Is it?
It was. No, there it is. Here it comes.
Let's see if we can shoot one before we go on Facebook Live. There he is right there.
See him? Yep. There you go. Go.
Oh.
He smelled you.
Bastard. All right. We'll get him.